Welcome to episode 12 of Resilience to the Core podcast with Candice Vesta. I'm super excited because today I'm going to be interviewing Drickus Blom. This is another way that we can heal our minds and our bodies. And it excites me because I can really see how the world is changing from medicine to more natural ways. So more about Drickus before he enters the room. Drickus is a craniosacral therapist. He's been practicing in Benoni, Gauteng, and he's been practicing since 2014. He uses different methods and modalities to help people to deal with stress, pain, and overwhelmed states. He's part of the teaching team at MADA Institute, where they teach biodynamic craniosacral therapy, and he's been there since 2015. He believes that people should be supported and empowered in their healing journey. And craniosacral therapy can form part of the tools to get back to whole body, mind, spirit, health, and wellness. So working with the natural healing power of the body, people can connect with their own power and potential to be more centered and grounded in their human experience. So without any further ado, let me welcome Drickus into the room. Welcome, Drickus. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much. It's lovely to be here.
Okay, let's dive right in. Drickus, I want us to first go into what are the benefits. Let's be honest. There is a lot going on at the moment. There's been a lot going on for a very long time. And if we can just have another tool to be able to feel better, what are the benefits of craniosacral therapy?
So this is a big question, and I'm going to try and simplify it. But if we look at how our bodies react to stress and things that happen in our life, there's a reaction. We know that there's a reaction happening. And within that reaction, our body responds. It's not a mind thing. It's not a decision, oh, I'm going to stress about this scenario or even this pandemic that we are in. It's not a thought pattern or a thinking saying, oh, yes, this is what it's going to happen. But our bodies respond. And so the benefit is anything that actually takes us away from just being in our body. Because our bodies respond and take us away. Because we're running away or going into that fight-flight response that everybody knows about. And so that may look different for everybody. Saying, okay, what is that fight-flight response about? Yes, it's coming from the nervous system, but it's the whole body that is actually responding, and how that influences us will be individualized. For some people, it may mean that they will have headaches, they will have tension within their bodies. Some people will struggle with anxiety or with worry. Their mind will go crazy, or they will actually go into fear and be stuck in fear unless there's a way for them to get out of that. And it's the same thing if there is pain within our bodies, that is actually just a messenger that is going on from the body, communicating, saying, hey, there's chronic pain going on. You need to slow down and actually attend to whatever that is. And within pain, it is so complex. And I can tell you, the people that even think they know, they don't know. Because our bodies are complex. And we don't know the complexities that we are dealing with. And so the benefits, it's for everybody. From a small child that is going through a difficult time to an older person that is also going through the same. We all are just humans. And we support...
I think people think that anxiety is just something you need to live with for the rest of your life, and they don't realize that that's actually not the norm, and they don't realize actually how damaging it is to your body. So if I can say, it's for stress, pain, and overwhelm. We all know what that feels like, that overwhelmed state where you feel like you can't breathe. And then another thing that you said, which was so interesting, which I love, is to take you back to your body. So we've got different ways of doing that. I know meditation helps with that, but it really is difficult to get into your body because we are so stuck in our heads. So if this is just another way for us to get back into our bodies, I believe that we can heal ourselves.
Exactly, because our bodies are quite intelligent. It's got an intelligence, and that's what within craniosacral therapy we believe, is that yes, your body knows how to actually heal itself. We just need to create the right conditions. Like it knows how to digest an apple. It knows how to digest your stress and your trauma and your suffering that you are experiencing.
Okay, that makes sense. So there's definitely lots of benefits, which we're going to go into on a practical basis in a minute. But I just wanted to say it works with your energy. So if I had to come for a session, what is it that I could anticipate?
So I try and make people feel very comfortable, because most people it is a strange thing. Even some people struggle to say, okay, say the word. What does that even mean? Craniosacral therapy. And so I try and create some context and say, okay, this is our body, our craniosacral system. And so I educate people, but I also do a small assessment where they fill in a form just to get some information and see what they are dealing with. And then people can expect to sit for a moment and just check in. And so we also allow them to settle, because once they arrive, they may be still rushing here, because we are so rushed. And so people driving here, when they arrive in the room, they may be still thinking about the shopping list or the stress of the day or whatever. And so I allow them to slow down and really be present before we get onto the bed or the treatment plinth. And there we'll create a safe space. So we place pillows, make them comfortable, cover them with a sheet or a blanket, and then we allow a relational field to develop. And that's similar to just meeting someone that you for the first time, and then having to settle and say, hey, who are you? And allowing that to settle, because this is a nervous system thing. Our nervous systems is constantly assessing our environment and saying, okay, who is safe and who is not safe, because it comes down to the safety. And we want to create safety, and we use that safety in a therapeutic way, because if people feel safe, their bodies can actually express their natural intelligence of healing. And we've got fancy words and fancy things to explain that, but that's the simplicity of it. And we make light contact, and I cannot tell you where we'll end up, but I can tell you where we start. And so I make light contact at the feet, almost as an introduction. And then we can move along the body. And yes, I can perceive certain things and where things are maybe not moving as freely, or maybe feeling stuck, or where people are holding. Because when we're in that reaction of emotion, we're also holding in our bodies. And we try and support those spaces where there's holding and where there is tension. And so that may mean that, and trusting my intuition as the therapist to actually feel guided by the process and go where it feels that it's needed. And sometimes people say, oh, how did you know? We trust. I really trust that there's a communication, because we established that relational field. It's also a receptive field where I am listening to what your body is communicating, the things that we don't actually have words for. We are listening to.
Okay. Well, that sounds fantastic. And I'd love to hear just one or two real life stories of success and what you've seen through your practice.
And so there's many stories, and so I'll try and zone in. But one that has stayed with me and that I've dealt with in the week even was someone going through a big relational transition. So she's going through a divorce, and it is a big adjustment and a life adjustment, and having to find herself. And so how I've known her for years, And we've had a few sessions, but now because she's going through a difficult time, she needs extra support. And she walked in the first session we had, and she was in total overwhelm. And it was like the first thing when I asked her, like, how are you doing? She just started crying and she couldn't stop. It was like really overwhelming for her. And using the tools that I have, we can slow that down and allow her to just be with what is.
Wow.
And because she was in such a doing state of what I need to do to actually get the answer and to know what the next thing is. But that was not the important thing. It was actually coming back to herself and really listening to say, what is going on? What is going on within this emotion? Yes, because within a relationship and within that breakup, there's a lot that comes up. People, all our insecurities of, it's a complex story almost. But
it's heart-wrenching.
Heart-wrenching, definitely. And then being able to create a field for her where she feels safe to express some of that emotion, but also to allow her to settle and come back to herself.
We do. We totally lose ourselves.
Yeah, totally. And within that experience, she definitely did lose herself. And to be able to say, no, everything will be okay. You can make it through this. And it was not me saying this, but this was her experience of this. Within herself, coming back to her intelligence within her, being able to find that and say, I know that this is tough because it is a process, but I can do it. And that was what the last session that we had in this week that she left with. And I was like flabbergasted because it felt like to me, this body process that works for pain and for other overwhelmed things can work with such emotional states as well, allowing her mind to find its way.
And you didn't even have to ask her any questions or tell her what to do. She came up with that on your own. And for me, that's so profound because I try to teach people how to tap into their gut and intuition because I believe that's such a powerful force. But it's one thing if you're stuck in your head, it really is a difficult thing. You have to be in your body. So that's a beautiful story. And then where my passion really lies is around children. I was a teacher for 18 years and I found a lot of things that were either medicated or, they were just put into boxes. And do you have any kiddie stories?
Yes, so there's a lot of kiddie stories that I can tell you. But the one that always stays with me is the one where children don't always have the words. And I mean, when we grow up, we don't have the words to express what we are feeling, what our experience of anything in this world, for instance. And a lot of children actually struggle with anxiety because we don't get the tools. This is not a life skill that we taught by our parents or at school to say, hey, this is what it is. And so one story that always resonates with me is of a 5-year-old. And I mean, at that age, he's very connected, but still he doesn't have the words. And mommy brought him because there was things that he was struggling. He was struggling to express and communicate, but he was also struggling with his gut and really being able to eat. And we had a few sessions and he just dropped and he loved the sessions. Every time he just hopped onto the bed by himself and like ready, he was ready to get going. And then after a few sessions, his mom just messaged me and said, he's climbing into the cupboard. I cannot feed him enough because he has found himself. And he could communicate also what he was going through. And it was actually quite interesting how he could express and say, I'm feeling uneasy, even though he didn't know that that was anxiety. You could say, I'm feeling uneasy in my body. And mommy could then say, how can I support this? Even with that, it was powerful. What a magical.
And what a beautiful thing for parents to know, because there's nothing more stressful than your child not eating and you don't understand why. You'll take them to any doctor, you'll get them, as a parent, you just want them to eat. Like that they need to eat to be able to function properly and to have energy. And so that's beautiful for parents. And with regards to just something like ADHD, does it help for that?
Definitely. And it is a big problem. ADHD and any deficits is a big problem, because children are also put into situations that is stressful for them. So the stimulation coming from a body that is not used to sitting down and having to process something can be quite overwhelming. And so within sessions, we allow them to actually then connect with their bodies and being able to say, can we regulate whatever my experience is within my body? And then it allows them to actually function better. They can then focus. Wow. And they find their way, because that's also the thing. It's like it's seen as a deficit, but it's actually just a different ability of being able to say, okay, this is what I like, and I can then focus on that, and I can communicate that also more clearly. And so, yeah, it works wonderful.
Wow.
And I mean, yeah, it is a very powerful way to bring people back to themselves. And I mean, that's why it's so simple, but it brings everybody. And we know the way. We've just lost our way along the way somewhere.
And if I can tell you the amount of parents that I dealt with along the way, it's so consuming for these parents, because their children aren't listening, their children aren't functioning in the classroom. Their little self-esteems and their self-worth is getting knocked, because every class they go to, whether it's music, computers, art, they have teachers on their case because they cannot help themselves. And so they fight the medication route, and then they end up giving the medication. And many, many times, the child's entire personality changes. And as a parent, that's the last thing you want to see. You just want your child to be able to be themselves and not be numbed out by medication. So this is very exciting for me as a teacher. And if more teachers could just hear about this, and that they could start referring children, and if it could make a difference, wow, it would really have a knock-on to the emotional state as well.
Absolutely. And I think because I also try and empower parents within that, because parents ask me what they can do, and it's so simple, actually. Reconnect and really just be with your child, because we're such a doing state always. Can we just go into a being state? And once parents actually click that, it's like something happens within the relationship, and they understand their child, but the child can then also express and just be themselves.
Wow. So this is definitely something that I would love. We're going to share this on all our platforms, but if I can get it through to the teachers, it would be phenomenal. So thank you very, very much. Where do people get hold of you? What are the next steps? If you can just give us some of your contact information.
So people are more than welcome to contact me. So on my email address, which is Drickus @atmada. So it's DRICKUS @atmada. So ATMADA.co.za. Or I can refer you to the Craniosacral Therapy Association of South Africa, and that is www.org.za. And you'll be able to find more information, but also details of practitioners in your area.
Sorry, if I can just repeat that, because you broke up a little bit. So it's www.craniosacral.
So cranial.
Oh, so cranial. Yes,
cranial.org.za.
Okay, great. That's fantastic. Thank you for giving up your time today. And this is really exciting. And the more we can get out, I think it's about awareness. People don't even know that this stuff exists. And we need to spread the news. So thank you, Drickus, for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a great day. Thanks.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So that's it. Episode 12 of Resilience to the Core with me, Candice Bester. So we're starting to do these every second week. And in 2 weeks' time, I have another treat for you. We're going to be speaking about energy healing, and I'm going to be sharing a really, really cool personal experience of how this helped my own child. So tune in 2 weeks' time, same place, same time, 7:30 Thursday evening, to see what that's all about. Until next time.